you, Communist China. Hey, how about creating the acronym for Xi Jinping? How about creating the acronym? How about mocking the governments that jail people for speech? Why are you always rooting for the bad guy? This is something that's always fun when the left thinks that they're clever. They've now tried to coin this new term after the setback that we'll get to on the tariffs. It's taco. Have you guys heard this? It's Trump always chickens out. And I get it. They think that they're going to be goading him like, we're going to hurt his ego with this. They tried this with fake news. Do you remember this? Have you been around long enough? Fake news was something that the left made up to try and attack conservatives online, alternative media. And it actually kind of did work because social media started censoring, throttling conservatives more. But then Donald Trump commandeered that word and started using fake news. And then they started attacking their own term. I'm willing to bet that something like that is going to happen with taco, or it's going to fade away. But the term is taco. They're trying to make the case that Donald Trump always chickens out. Is it, by the way, is it based in fact? But first, hear them describe it to you.
Well, or maybe consumers are also into the taco trade, you know? That's an acronym for Trump always chickens out. It was in the FT last week.
And Donald Trump's predictable reversing of himself has now created a new phrase with the acronym TACO, as in Trump always chickens out.
There's this phrase floating around Wall Street, the taco trade, which is Trump,
what do you think,
Trump
retired mid-level surfer?
Out.
Trump always chickens out.
Jeez. I don't know if you could more effectively put together a montage of people I hate. Like you could have a montage of the key members of the Taliban, and I'd prefer it to those folks.
Oh, those guys are cool.
He really thinks he's clever. Trump always chickens out.
He said it like he was reading some kind of apocalyptic message to the country.
Like he's waiting for Bill Maher's crowd animator to say, clap, clap, give him your validation. So they even asked Donald Trump about this, tried to corner him, and here's his very President Trump-like response.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number, and if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number, and I go down a little bit, a little bit. They want me to hold that number, 145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got? Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. Whoa. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question.
I just love how this would apply like with like nukes, right? You're like, oh, Truman, don't chicken out. Like you got 6 nukes ready, just drop them. Like we like no basic negotiation or strategic thinking.
We surrender. Not yet, you don't.
Well, it's also like we're always talking about Jake Tapper where he didn't have the information that was available to everybody at the time. And it's like, oh, so you guys, we need journalists. Right, I saw Aaron Brockovich. You guys are all inherently altruistic. I get the point. But you haven't done your due diligence in. It's not that hard to find. I don't know if you know this. There's an entire book actually written called Art of the Deal, where he specifically lays out the strategy that you're seeing in real time. And this is lost on you.
Is that a good book? Did it sell well?
Yeah, exactly. So so at this point, either you're lying or you're just very lazy. In which case, no matter what the answer is, there's no use for journalists. And of course, President Trump is visibly annoyed. So did President Trump chicken out? Well, it's time for some claim truth. All right, taco.
Yeah.
Let's go for some taco claims. Here's the claim that you hear from the left is that President Trump chickened out specifically on China. Is it true?
The facts support the taco thesis. Whether it's been on electronics early on or the high tariffs on China,
doctrine.
Trump talks big,
science,
blows his trumpet, makes a huge fuss, and before negotiations even begin, before he's even made contact with reality,
the lady on the left eats tacos.
Off.
Yeah. Here's the truth. Not even close. That's incorrect. So President Trump gave China this 90-day reprieve because they agreed to restart negotiations. Now we all know that their word is not worth the fortune cookie it's printed on. So they said, okay, we're going to restart. So he dropped some of the retaliatory tariffs in that case. And then the next truth is that the courts ended up hamstringing President Trump. So if not for the court injunction, the tariffs on China would still be 50 or 60%. And by the way, up until this new injunction, everyone was okay with it. Mm-hmm. That's 2 times what it was in 2024.
Exactly.
Came in high, was going down to 50 or 60%. And really up until the last 48 hours, people were like, well, I guess that's the new normal. That's a win.
That was a really clear way of negotiating. Basically, it's like doubling the price of something and then giving somebody 25% off. Oh, I got a deal.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
You just reset it.
It's the old Kohl's deal.
Yes, exactly.
Where they double the price and they give you 50% off and then they give you another 20% off. You're like, but this is still more expensive than if I just buy it anywhere.
Is he giving tariff cash?
Yes. They make him the first white woman president.
Oh,
they love Kohl's cash.
I love it.
I don't know what it is with the Kohl's cash. It's not legal tender, by the way. Here's the next claim that they're making for Taco. They claim that President Trump chickened out, not China, but also on the EU.
Donald Trump blinked once again, backing off a threat he made days ago, delaying the implementation of a 50% tariff on the European Union. The European Union is America's second largest trading partner behind China.
Okay, here's the truth. It's clearly, and it always was meant to be, a starting point for a deal. Again, read the book, Art of the Deal. This is someone with business experience who understands negotiation. Here is President Trump explaining as much.
I have great respect for the people at the European Union. They wouldn't be over here today negotiating if I didn't put a 50% tariff on. The sad thing is now when I make a deal with them, it's something much more reasonable. They'll say, oh, he was chicken.
So the media can try and bring out these attacks and taco and chicken. Here's what really matters. Do you believe that President Trump is trying to work on better trade deals for the United States? You can comment below. That's what matters.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that the media is always lining up against the interests of the United States. Let's distill this down to its most basic form. They're going, hey, Europe got you, even though they didn't.
Right.
They're going, oh, yeah, good for you, communist China. Hey, how about creating the acronym for Xi Jinping? How about creating the acronym? How about mocking the governments that jail people for speech? Why are you always rooting for the bad guy? Why are you always rooting for the governors who make sure that abortion is available on demand up until and including birth period? Why are you always somehow in the corner of communist China? Why are you always somehow defending MS-13 gang members? Like, this isn't hyperbole. There are no exceptions. There really aren't. Yeah. So, you know what? I'll give this administration a little bit of grace and hope that these negotiations keep going on, because any type of retaliatory tariffs, that's a win compared to where we were.
Yeah, and I mean, they're doing it right in the middle of the negotiations too. Like, just let this process play out a little bit. I understand that we're going to comment on how it goes throughout the process and what you think the wins and losses are, but right now they're saying, you're a chicken, you let these guys win, and it's like, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Not at all.
Well, to prove my point right now, I think it's Rahm Emanuel talking about the Chinese student visas. Let's see if they're advocating for foreign Chinese nationals who are likely spies in our institutions.
Political issues. I want to get to those as well while I have you, Rahm. You call the Democratic Party's brand right now, in your words, toxic and weak and woke. Give me specifics. What are you referencing?
Okay, that's good. By the way, I don't like him, but I do respect that he poked a man in the chest naked in the shower.
That's true. Clothes are optional when you're pissed.
That's pretty cool.
That is how I will remember Rahm Emanuel always. Oh, you're still here, which is a miracle in the age of Instagram and shorts. I think you have some shorts up there. You have an attention span that is longer than that of a fruit gnat. So thank you. I'm glad you probably would like it a lot more if you actually head over and subscribe on Rumble. I'm live there 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern, where free speech is still alive. Go to Rumble. Get off the social media ghetto that is YouTube, with a lot of homosexual activity here on YouTube. There may be some on Rumble, but I haven't seen it.